GoLoud.
Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. How's it going, guys? How the hell are you? How are your hearts? And of course, most importantly, every single day of the week, ask yourself, how's your head? Guys, what's going on? What's the story? Listen, thank you so much to everybody for your lovely messages after last week's show. The last few weeks have been very special, as I keep mentioning, but we've got lots of new listeners on board. It's very, very wonderful to have you here. And I am really excited for the Weekly Roast, Ireland's most exciting podcast, as they say, to continue going and to see where we can take this thing. So thank you so much. Just a moment of earnest gratitude. I do genuinely really appreciate your support. If you're enjoying the show, the greatest gift you can give me is to share it with a friend of yours and or send me like a mildly complimentary message on Instagram. It serves my ego no bounds and it keeps me trudging along in the perennial slog of grey mundanity that is modern existence. Yes, I said mundanity. Nevertheless, it's time to introduce Kieran's replacement, Mr. Ed Smith.
Oh, Mark, what an intro.
I mean, Ed Smith, some of you will know from Today FM Rocks fame.
Thank you very much.
He is he is similar to myself. No, you can't say similar to yourself and then compliment somebody. That's
keep going.
Ed is a unbelievably talented, multi-talented producer, DJ, broadcaster.
All of it.
Pretty much an all-rounder. And Ed is going to be filling in for our beloved, dearly departed Kieran as he is off.
He's not dead. He's just getting married.
Oh, the same thing, mate.
Go on out with that.
Same thing.
But Kieran, I'm sitting in for the great Kieran for the next couple of weeks. I'm nervited is the best way to describe. I'm nervous and excited.
I like that.
Yeah. Because I've seen and heard some of the messages, Mark.
Yes.
And my God.
Yes, my God is the only way to describe it. Ed, you're very welcome. The listeners of the Weekly Roast would also like to give you a virtual hug. Guys, it's the roast of annoying parents. Now, I probably should have been more specific when I put this out on Instagram on Sunday because some people are coming in going, when my mum hovers my room when I'm hungover. And like, yeah, that is obviously it's a terrible accent. People hate it. Some people will actually stop listening to the podcast on account of me continuously doing this derogatory and bad accent. Guys, it's the roast of annoying parents. And we had lots of different contributions from not just Ireland yesterday, but from all over the world. Okay, teachers, primarily teachers, let's be honest, primarily primary teachers, complaining about the outrageous things parents have done over the years. Naturally, there were lots of submissions about fathers and things that they've posted in WhatsApp groups. At the end of today's show, okay, we have a full... there's a couple of, pretty outrageous stories at the end of today's podcast, okay? And we haven't had like an old-fashioned willy willy bum bum section, but this would even make the willy willy bum bum section blush. Like, this is just basically dads are just complete and utter slop. Like, it's just, we'll get to that, okay? But first things first, let's just get stuck into this. It's the roast of annoying parents in a few different contexts. Before we get into the voice notes, we had friends over recently and they said they came in with their three kids and they're like, sorry, we're a little bit late. We had to stop on the way over because someone had to do a poo. You just can't. Someone had to do a poo. And I could see the child. Like, it was clearly who did the poo, you know? But I just made a joke and I was like, geez, I knew Peter was a gobshite, but I didn't realise he was incontinent. Peter was the husband, you know? Thanks for the delay, Pete. Now, please use the bushes or one of the pockets of your gilet if you need to go again when we're out in the garden. Nobody laughed. Or actually, do you know what? Maybe use the Fisher-Price green turtle so we can nickname you Bobby Sands. I don't like parents when they throw their children under the bus, do you know? It was almost as bad as, do you ever get, Ed, growing up, if you were called out by your mum, you'd walk into like a family gathering and your mum would call, your mum would announce to the room, sorry, Mark's just feeling a little bit shy today.
Oh, God.
No, I'm not. I'm not shy, Mum. I just like hiding behind your legs for 4 hours until eventually getting overconfident, down in 2 cartons of Umbongo, running around like a lunatic for 20 minutes until I get too giddy and bite one of my cousins on the ears. Yes, I'll wait in the car for the rest of the day. Damn. The only thing worse than getting called out by a parent for being shy was if you had friends over and your mum would be like, don't be showing off.
Oh,
That was the worst.
killer.
That was more embarrassing than, I imagine, receiving a video of yourself having sex on WhatsApp and above the video it says forwarded many times. That's the word. Like, that's hell on earth.
That is hell on earth.
The moment that happens, gone. Everything's
I
gone.
winced.
I'm done. Instagram, it's all over. But Mark, stop showing off. That's, Mum, I'm not showing off. I'm not, like, you'd be so determined to prove that you're not. Mum, I'm not showing off. Now, please, just answer the question. Do you know where my fire-breathing kit is and my unicycle? Anyway, guys, it's the roast of annoying parents. Let's go.
Here we go.
So my experience of annoying parents is as follows. You know those parents who are just nosy and spineless but aren't willing to come out with the questions on their own behalf, so they make out like their child was asking the questions. Oh, my little Caitlin's fucking 4, saw your car in the car garage and she said, Mummy, why's Alison selling her car? Sure, didn't Alison only get that car last year? And now she's selling it. So no, your fucking Caitlin isn't able to read car number plates. You're just being really nosy and passive aggressive, and we all can see through it.
I couldn't agree with this one anymore. Apparently LinkedIn is really bad for this. I obviously don't have LinkedIn, but apparently LinkedIn is really bad for this. The whole like parents saying that their children, or like the mum like somebody doing the Facebook status, I was watching the news with Rupert and Charlotte the other day. Always English names, by the way. Whenever this happens, it's always the kids with wanker names. Nothing wrong. Sorry, by the way, to any Charlottes or Ruperts listening, nothing wrong with your name, but it's always I was watching the news with Rupert and Charlotte the other day, and Rupie, age 2, stood up and said, oh, Mummy, stop. I can't bear it. I cannot bear a moment more of man's inhumanity to man. Oh, if only Vladimir Putin was coming to our house for a tea party, I'd have a ruddy good word with him and I'd tell all of my teddies to give him a big fat cuddle until he starts to be nice to those Ukrainians. Your son didn't say that. And even if he did, by the way, he's wrong. Your child knows nothing about the geopolitical landscape of Europe and the never-ending complexities in this world of ours that seems to be falling apart. But do you know what I mean? Your child just didn't say that. Oh, Mummy, I was just watching a documentary on the Suez Canal. No, he wasn't. And also, by the way, what's your perspective, Rupie? Because your populist and fictional approach to solving these issues is moronic. It's as moronic as it is naive, you know? Your son did not say this. Oh, Mummy, I just finished an episode of Paw Patrol and was thinking about mounting debt, food prices and inflation. The only thing inflating here... No. Move on. On we go. Let's go.
This roast is about my dad. He was giving me grief at 15 for not having a job. So I took the initiative, made myself a CV and started handing them out in our local shopping centre, which just happens to be Blanchardstown. He got home and he's seen some CVs printed off on the table, and when I say he went absolutely berserk, that I was handing out a piece of paper with his details on it. By details I mean our home address where I also lived, which is pretty standard to include on a CV. I've had some trouble limiting this down to just one story because this man also keeps the goldfish in the back garden in what can only be described as an outdoor cage, because he thinks that somebody hopped over our back garden wall and stole the goldfish, that I was a naive person to think that a herring could have possibly eaten these goldfish, but I was to blame.
Okay, incredible. Fish in a Cage sounds like the album for a very struggling heavy metal band in Temple Bar who fancy themselves as the next Pink Floyd. First things first, let's get on to your dad. I love the man and I loathe the man in equal measure. We have to address something. What is it with Irish men and security? Like, there's something with... My dad still brings up a set of keys that I lost in the Oxygen Music Festival in 2007, you know? Like, any sign of those keys yet? No, Dad. Like, it's literally been almost 20 years. Also, of all the keys that I reflect on from my days of going to music festivals, that the one to 53 Nuttall Grove isn't the one I think of the most. Like, I just don't get Irish men with they like to treat their house as if it's Fort Knox, and they also think that everybody is permanently just trying to get into their house. Did you lock up after you did the bins? Yeah, it's 3:00 on a Monday afternoon. Nobody's walked up and down the cul-de-sac in literal weeks, quickly, like sprinting out to the side passage, lest a team of assailants or these Blanchardstown fish bandits have snuck in over the back wall. Like,
I'd go and see that band.
Yeah.
Blanchardstown fish bandits. I'd watch them.
It's like, it's unbelievable though. Also, it's definitely it teeters on paranoia. I remember one time I made this joke to my therapist years and years ago. She was like, and have you experienced any paranoia? And I was like, well, you'd be experiencing paranoia too if the FBI were going through your bins. Didn't laugh.
Oh.
So didn't laugh at all. I had to change therapists in the end because I was sick of her not agreeing with me. Nevertheless, on we go.
Hey Mark, I'm a primary school teacher, and a couple of years ago I had a parent write a 3-page letter complaining that I was trying to convert her daughter to a cult and that she was going to complain me to the bishop. And the reason for the letter was because I was teaching her 12-year-old daughter some yoga, just doing a little bit of yoga during PE. And in her letter she said that yoga was the sport of the devil. So yeah, we got a good laugh out of that one. Most of the parents that we come across are sound, to be fair, but there's always a few crazies that will give you a good laugh. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, move over Lululemon. We've got Lulu Lucifer. Completely insane. Yoga is the sport of the devil. Surely, like, if hell existed, okay, and the devil was real, surely the sport would be like shot put on fire, or acrobats on a bed of nails, or javelin but the thing goes through your heart. Yoga isn't exactly synonymous. Yoga isn't exactly the sport of yoga is the sport of MILFs, or those with the discipline to look after their inner well-being in ways that I wish I could, you know? I don't really understand that. Yeah, it's just completely. What do you think, Ed?
Here's what I think. Not so much the yoga, but hell would be stuck with somebody who talks about going to yoga.
Yes, very good.
It's the yoga talkers.
Yeah, it is.
If you hear me, then, you know, it's like, we get it.
We get it. You are
like CrossFit.
You are flexible and you're boring, but you probably have a decent level of spiritual health.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Congrats on the balance and the happiness.
Yes.
Enjoy your smooth.
Congrats on finding inner peace.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Next. By the way, this next one is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay, this next one's going to be the end of this section. Read it and weep, guys. Here you go.
Hey, so I'm a teacher, and this isn't a request I received from a parent, but I was at a parent-teacher meeting one evening, and it was a first-year parent-teacher meeting, and I wasn't in the job that long, and there was, you know, we all sit around in a big hall, and the parents kind of come to whoever's free or whatever. So one or two of the teachers were looking at me, and they came over and said, "Oh my God, wait till you hear Mrs. We'll call her Mrs. D, what has to say to you or whatever." So I was saying, "Oh, good God, what have I done to this child now to upset him or whatever?" So anyway, she came over to me and she was all teary and perturbed, and she was like, "Look, I'm just going to tell you," she says, "Jamie is so stressed about this Irish that she's been bleeding from his back passage." Yeah, so I don't even remember what I said. Like, I probably said, "Oh, it's okay. He didn't do any Irish anymore." He certainly didn't appear to be stressed in class anyway. He didn't give a toss.
Sorry. No. First things first.
Yeah.
Go to a doctor immediately. Secondly, are you joking me? Like, "Oh, Mark, how are you? You getting on all right?" Just a bit stressed about the old driving test coming up. Are you? Yeah. Yeah. Been nervous enough now the last few days. You know yourself. Oh, well, what are you experiencing? You know yourself. Just the old interrupted sleep, little bit jittery, bleeding out the anus. Concentration isn't great. Sorry. I said my concentration isn't great. No, before that, what you say? Bleeding out the anus.
Yeah.
Drag that rosy little hole of yours to an emergency room immediately. Not along the carpet. You don't have worms. Like, this is bleeding out the anus. Your son was, okay, of all the things that your son was thinking about, okay, his fucking, excuse my language, Spanish oral or the Irish whatever junior cert was not on his mind. Bleeding out the anus, of all the levels of Catholic denial, that is, it reminds me of this one, right? Years ago, and I've told this story before, I think. My sister's mate, we used to go to this disco growing up called Wesley Disco.
Oh, I've heard legend.
And there was a drunk room. Oh, you were probably in there all the time, Mehigan. Brilliant. Nice one. But anyway, my sister's mate was there and she got so drunk that she had to be brought to the drunk room and she was like getting wheeled out, like practically on a gurney. And they like had her then in there. The ambulance came in. We're like, hey, leave her here. We need to call our parents because we're going to bring her to hospital. So anyway, they're in there. She's like gargling, completely done. And her mum comes in. And her mum takes one look at her and she's got like sick down her front. And her mum goes, oh, Aoife, lovey, what have you eaten? The levels of denial.
Yeah.
Like the level, it's such a ridiculous thing. It's also, it reminds me of, I remember one time growing up, I was around 11 or 12, right? And my sister had been out of the disco and around 11 p.m, the door, there's like cars out, there's a car out the front, flickering headlights, the doorbell rings. My mum was like, oh fuck, what's going on? Runs downstairs. And lo and behold, the two guards are there. Two guards are there at the doorstep with my sister, who is absolutely mangled drunk, right? Paralytic, like. She looks like her eyes are trying to adjust to the light, like she's come out of the cinema during midday, you know. She just, and she's lying there on the doorstep. And my mum takes one look at her and she goes, oh, have you been drinking? Have you been? I remember just being like,
What gave it away?
I was like, Mum, she's in a wheelchair. The police are here. Her hair looks like a bird's nest.
Yeah.
She's got twigs all over her. Her socks are literally filled with dodder water. Of course she's been drinking. You'd get drunk from walking into one of her burps. Do you know what I mean? No, I want you to tell me right now. Have you been drinking? Mum, she's taken one of the life rings from Sandymount Strand and is wearing it like a belt. Of course she's been drinking. She spent the last 15 minutes doing an impression of her dead granddad, except she's been using the traffic cone as a walking stick. It's the weirdest thing when parents just refuse to see any downside to their child. Like, okay, come here now and let me smell your breath. The smelling of the breath is over. Like, your parents you've been brought home by the guards. Your parents have come down at 4 o'clock in the morning. You don't need to. Do you know what I mean? It's almost as blindly optimistic as me walking into the geography exam for the Leaving Cert and praying that maybe a few questions will come up on M&M. Do you know what I mean?
And it didn't, though.
It never did. No, it's the way I am. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Weekly Roast and looking forward to the really sloppy stuff at the end. But also, if you are enjoying the show, it would be lovely to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram at Mehigan Mark. Let me know what you like about the show. If you have any suggestions for things that you'd like roasted, and of course, please share it with your friends. Also, there's talk about doing something additional. Some people have a little bit of an extra appetite. So if you're interested in more than the Weekly Roast, send me a DM, express your curiosity and I will fill you in. Okay guys, next up this isn't too sloppy, but this is sort of continuing on with the sort of parents being in complete and utter denial about not only their children but potentially life. Let's go.
Hi Mark, I have so many of these. I am a teacher in a large secondary school, and the most recent one was a parent who came into school in a rage after discovering that her older teenage son, was accessing inappropriate material on his laptop after school in her home, and wondered what we were going to do about it. Oh my God, the amount of times I have to hold myself from saying, maybe parent your child? But I'm too nice to do that.
You are too nice to do that. And fair play to you for acknowledging that. I do love this. I love the complete and utter, like, firstly, parents need to accept there isn't a sentence in any language spoken by any person that could separate a teenage boy from using pornography. That's just the fact. Like, certainly in my experience, not even Moses on a good day would be able to cause a division between an adolescent male and porn. By the way, back in my day before the internet, we literally had to go, like, porn was something that you just sort of came across. Do you know? Easy, classic.
I could have driven a truck through that one.
No, but you know, porn was just something that you used to just like you had to seek it out. It was, you know, I remember one time, like, you know, you'd find it in like discarded in a train station or in like a wooded area. We effectively had to go foraging for tits. Do you know what I mean? It was like, we were like the Happy Pear Twins, except for instead of searching for berries and, I don't know, flax seeds, it was Eastern European nipples. Like, I remember one time growing up, we found a magazine. Pages were stuck together, weirdly. Maybe it was new. And I thought it was one of those aftershave things, so I started smearing it across my neck. But I remember we found this magazine in the wooded area, and then, like, as a result, thought, oh, well, that's obviously where porn grows. And we'd keep going back every week, like, looking for pornography. It was very... we used to have, back in my day, we used to have to literally seek out porn. It wasn't as easy as it is now. Anyway, yeah, hilarious by this parent. There's no chance. It's also definitely not in the teacher. Also, the dad definitely probably watches porn. Moving on. Let's go.
Hi, Mark. Let's have a chat about parents who allow their children to throw food, drop food, mess up in a restaurant. Let's try and teach our kids table manners from an early age, because it's really not necessary. Thanks, bye.
I must say, and this will probably change whenever I have children, if I'm ever fortunate enough to do so, but I do think that, yeah, this isn't like your child is cute to you. It's not cute to anybody else necessarily. Like, this whole like, oh, look, she's throwing everything around. That's entertaining to you. It's sort of like karaoke. If you're involved in it or emotionally invested in the person doing it, it's cute. If you're not, it's unimaginably unwatchable and you've no interest in being there.
I agree.
Like, it's also just the whole idea of being entertained by other people's children doing really mundane things. Like, no, like I don't actually care, you know? Oh, look at him go. Watching a kid sail through like the departures hall in a set of wheelies. He's not going that fast. I'm not impressed. He's not doing any jump. Like, none of this is that interesting. In the same way that I don't care for the sort of group of people, the brigade who are emerging these days on Instagram. You know, the type who would have had their parents email the school back when they were doing the leaving to pretend that they were dyslexic in order to opt out of Pass Irish. Yet all of a sudden they're finishing every single caption with Gra and Gurv Mila. Excuse me? Oh, you're a fan of the old Gaeilge now, are you?
Oh, yeah, very convenient.
Very convenient. Not naming any names. On we go.
Okay, so 16, 17-year-old me babysitting for the next door neighbour, and her children were like 3, 6, 7 and 10, and she said, look, if any of them wake up or they're thirsty during the night, just give them a drink of milk. There's pouches in the freezer. So I didn't think anything of it until one of them woke up, and I opened the freezer, and the freezer was full wall to wall with breast milk. Like, there was nothing else in the freezer at all. And they were all still consuming it. So each to their own, but I just thought it was very unusual, and they all had a drink of milk, but I didn't partake.
Okay, look, first things first, if you think I'm going to wade into the quicksand that is a 30-year-old male commenting on women and breastfeeding, you'd be off your tits, you know. I'm not going to go there, but let's be honest, 4 kids, that's essentially a full udder. Like, at that stage, it's a mid-sized creamery you're operating here, rather than, you know, this is more than just the boob, Sharon. This is like... You know, this is more than just artisanal milk. It's not Premier Dairies, okay? It's not Avamore, but it's not Farmer's Market either. It's not mid-tier. Milking yourself to feed 4 children, that's a litre per meal. That is 4 litres per breast per meal per day. That is, at that stage, like, your breasts surely have rights. Do you know what I mean? They're employees. They get annual leave. They're entitled to like 6 sessions with the physio if their back goes out. They could probably form a union. And now also, let's get into this one with the children. Like, I say this with absolutely zero paediatric experience. 10 years of age feels like a little bit old to be still in the breast.
Yeah, feels a bit off that.
Like, at that stage, you're not far away from going pre-drinking with breast milk. Do you know what I mean? showing up to pre-drinks with a naggin and a Ziploc bag full of mother's milk. Simo, do you mind if I use the microwave for a second? Just want to make sure the milk is lukewarm before I have it. Also, can you pop the kettle on? I need to sterilise my dodie. Babies. Baby ass. Okay, go on.
Hi, Mark. Back in my early 20s, I used to do a lot of babysitting. And my mum asked me if I babysit for a new colleague of hers. She just moved to a new area, and I thought, oh, this could be a regular enough gig. And showed up the first time, you get the run through of, here's where we keep the snacks, over there you find the baby wipes. And just as they were leaving, they turned to me and they said, look, just don't get annoyed when he plays with your nipples, okay? I kind of gave a nervous laugh. I thought, I don't think I heard what I heard. But no, as soon as they left, the 2-year-old was mauling me. I spent the entire night fending him off. Hands going up the top, down the top, yanking at the brass straps. So needless to say, that did not become a regular babysitting gig for me.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that you didn't start showing up on Sunday mornings, but any chance of baby. I just don't understand how it could become a thing with parents who are like, oh yeah, our child just mauls your milkers. This is just not a normal thing. This is just not, you can't say milkers, but this is just not a normal a thing for a 2-year-old to do. I mean, or maybe it is, by the way. Maybe it is. Maybe there's a wet nurse out there who'll contact me and say, you've no idea, that's exactly what happens. That's exactly a normal thing. So perhaps it is. But Jesus Christ, yeah, don't get annoyed when he plays with your nipples. That is a sentence I did not expect to hear in 2024. Okay, guys, it's the final section.
Here it is.
Here it is in all of its ugly honesty. If you have sensitive ears, I suggest you switch off now. If you have a sensitive soul, I suggest you look the other way. It's bananas. I have verified all of these 3 stories to ensure that they are true, just to let you know. Look, just here you go. Let's go.
Hi, Mark and Kieran. We were on a work night out last year and we had a table in a bar, and there was a man near us wearing this strange looking mustard shirt, and he was mauling the face of some girl that he was with. One of the girls from work knew the chap to see and said he was recently separated and he was out every weekend and had a different girl. So roll on the next morning, I was taking my daughter to an under 10 GAA blitz.
It's always the under 10s.
The crack at the blitz was about another team that was at the blitz, and there was screenshots from their GAA WhatsApp group.
Oh.
And the coach had put up the location and time for the blitz. And a reply came from a dad, and it just said, how's your creamy pussy?
Oh, God.
We were wetting ourselves at the thought of it, but lo and behold, who did I find out it was from? Only the man with the yellow shirt.
Oh.
He will forever be known as Creamy Pussy from now on. And I also just hope that the girl that he is with has got some Caniston for her creamy pussy.
Nice one. Thanks for the care. Okay, look. Creamy pussy. I suppose the thing for me is the most important question here is, what did he even, forgetting the fact that he sent it to the under 10s, it's always the under 10s, it's always the under 10s or the under 11s, it's always the GAA group. Forgetting that for a second, if he was just sending this assumingly he was sending this to the woman in question, what did he expect the response to be? At what point does the eroticism kick into play? Just how's your creamy pussy? Good, mate. Yeah, not too bad, mate, actually. How's your pinky willy? Do you know?
Yeah.
How's your little pale white slug? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, how's your crusty knob?
Oh, well, mine's not crusty, but how's your creamy pussy? Desi, I'm just visiting Nana here in the home. Can I give you a buzz afterwards? Thank you. How is your creamy creamy enough? Creamy enough? Thinking of doing a side hustle actually with that breast milk lady from the earlier section, you know? This is just complete. What is the appropriate response to that? The head of a pint of Guinness, mate. It's absolutely, and also what I think the most, you know, in all of these stories, right? Irish people, we're so good at having sympathy and go, oh fuck, isn't that awful? That's shocking now. That could have, at the end of the day, it could have happened to anybody and we all make mistakes. Still took the screenshot though. You know what I mean? Something will go into a group and it's been in the group for 0.013 seconds. Got the screenshot. Got it. It's actually just It is unbelievable. You don't stand a chance. You don't get given an opportunity to misstep in modern life because of the screenshot. It's always the GAA group. I remember I met this guy when I was doing driving lessons. I went out and I got a couple of great lessons from a few different people. But this is a few years ago when I first started driving. This is back in I think 2012. I was going to drive and I stopped after 3 weeks because I went back to London to solve all my problems. Anyway, the guy was like a nice enough old man, and in his 70s, and he was like, "Oh, I'm in this book club," and I was like, "Oh, lovely, that's really nice." I was like, "That's really sweet," bunch of sort of old men sitting around having Werther's originals, with the wireless on and talking about a
Very wholesome, yeah.
Yeah, very wholesome. Talking about a Maeve Binchy or something, and I was like, "Oh, lovely," and then he was like, "Oh, look at this video," and it was a video of. It was coming up to Christmas. It was Kim Kardashian, okay? And she was looking into the camera and she'd gone, "All I want for Christmas this year." And then it had been edited with an Irish accent over the top going, "A big fucking dick up the ass." And he burst out laughing. And I was like, "Bernard, I can't believe you've done this.
Bernard.
The dream is over.
You let me down, Bernard.
You've let everybody down. But also, I thought this group was like a book club group for kindly old gentlemen. But it just always descends. Anyway, on to the next one. Let's go.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, about weird parents. A long time ago when I was an au pair in Spain with a very, very, very well-known Irish family, I was feeding the 2-year-old daughter with grapes, cutting them up with a knife and taking the seeds out that way. And the dad turned around to me and said, "Don't be so silly, just pop the grape into your mouth and take the seeds out with your own teeth and then give it to the daughter."
Sorry?
Anyway, needlessly to say, I continued using the knife. I think, though, now that you remind me, I don't think the dad would have been too happy if he'd known what I had been up to the previous night with my mouth. Not to be overly disgusting, but there was a very, very, very good-looking gardener, and I was very, very lonely on this mad, huge estate in the middle of nowhere in Spain.
Oh, lovely.
Good stuff. I feel like this is a scene from porn. You, the sort of bored au pair, lustfully staring out the window towards the shrubbery. Do you know what I mean? And then this rugged Spanish sun-kissed garden man comes out, coarse hands that are built for far more than holding bags of compost. Do you know what I mean? He pops in and asks you for a glass of lemonade. You say, "Would you like a glass of ass?" He says, "I didn't know you spoke Spanish." And then you ride for 2 days. This is just, in terms of gardeners planting their seeds, this whole... Okay,
very good.
Do you like that?
Very good.
In terms of gardener knowing what to do with his hose.
There it is.
And a hoe.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's all good. Ploughing his furrow or...
Shagging. But hold on. This started with... Okay, firstly, all of this could have been avoided if you just bought a punnet of seedless grapes. Has anybody ever thought about just buying a punnet of seedless grapes? And then... by the way, we are not blowjob shaming anybody on this podcast in any capacity, but surely there's a statute of limitations from when you've given the blowjob to when your mouth resumes normal. 12 to 15 hours, I would have thought, you're back to normal business.
If there's a blowjob breathalyzer,
yeah,
she would have passed it. She absolutely passes the breathalyzer.
Hold on. Surely a blowjob breathalyzer is just another blowjob.
Yeah, it is.
What is
I haven't thought this through.
Zip up, Ed.
Dragon's Den, let's go.
Deborah Meaden is out.
Yeah. And for that reason, I moved.
Duncan Bannatyne is unzipping. Oh, fuck. But that's unbelievable. But there is 12 to 15 hours later, your mouth is back to normal. There's been a bit of mouthwash. Hopefully, you've brushed your teeth. You've had the euthymal or Colgate. I mean, and then going back to the well-known family, that dad is completely insane. Would you like to put the grapes into your mouth and feed it out of you? I'm not a swallow existing inside a fucking cliff in the Galapagos.
Sorry, is the father suggesting she put the grape in her mouth, de-seed it with her mouth, spit it out, and feed his child?
By the way, if she can do that, she should be the one doing the oral, mate. If her tongue is that dexterous,
yeah.
she was. So
actually, that's the way it works. Yeah.
that is I don't know. Look, this is just a lot of blowjob content, but yeah, look, okay, fair play to you. If you haven't done a summer as an au pair and had an intercourse with a Spanish gardener, have you even lived? Would you like a glass of ass? Yes, please. 2. But not until I've had my breast milk. Next. Now, guys, it's the final one. We have the full story. Some of you will remember. I'm just going to read out the screenshot, okay? Because this one was a big story on my Instagram when I did a roast of parents about, I think, 2 years ago. Just going to read it out for you in case you missed it, okay? Here's the message. One of the dads texted into the WhatsApp saying, "You'd some arse in them leggings this morning, Elaine." Sweating face emoji. His wife's name is Sarah, also in the same WhatsApp group. He then deleted the message for himself, not everybody. Oh. And the crowd went wild. So this happened, right? And everybody went nuts about it. We've now got the full story from the original girl. She got back in touch yesterday. Here you go.
So the follow-up story from Jesus, you've some arse in them leggings, Elaine, sweat face, is obviously there was loads of staring and giggles and awkward whispers and everything for a long time after it. So then their marriage went. I think that was the final straw. It's definitely on the rocks anyway. Your man, I don't want to say his name, and Elaine are now together, but they were definitely shagging behind Sarah's back. Everyone knows that. Jeez. The whole it's a small parish we live in, like. But then Sarah rocked up to the kids' nativity play, senior infants, and absolutely clocked Elaine into the face. Kids were roaring, parents were roaring. It was absolute carnage. Then Elaine keyed who she thought was Sarah's car, but it wasn't Sarah's car. It was a different, and the guards and all were called. It was absolute madness. Seriously, carnage.
Wow.
Thank you so much for listening to the Weekly Roast, guys. I really appreciate it. And just thank you so much. Yeah, what a completely insane episode. If you enjoy the show, send me a DM at Mehigan Mark on Instagram. If you enjoy the podcast, do me a favour, do us a solid and share it with your friends. It really, really means the world to us. So thank you so much. And look, I will see you very soon. Soon, we'll be announcing some stuff. That's soon. Can't say any more. Delightfully vague. I know, there's nothing worse. Anyway, look, mind yourselves, look after yourselves, take care of your heads, and I will see you very soon. All the best. Bye-bye.